Both her parents, we believe, were of African descent. Marguerite did have several children at the other plantation she worked on. She was purchased to come here to Destrehan, but she was only allowed to take 2 of her children. The Code Noir, which was issued by the King of France in 1724, dictated how enslaved people were to act and how they were to be treated. It stated that everyone that was in the colony was to practice Catholicism. It also called for the expulsion of Jewish people. And with regard to slavery, you followed the condition of your mother. So if you were an enslaved person and you had children, they were also enslaved. You could not legally be separated from them until they reached the age of puberty. So, you know, I remember when my daughter was turning 13, I was so excited, right? And we were having a party and all this wonderful stuff. Think about the psychology of slavery. Her child is now about to turn 12, 13. You know, it was an extremely oppressive time. It was extremely frightening. You know, if your master was sick, you know, you ran the risk of being sold off. Now, if he was absolutely horrible and miserable, you might say, okay, well, hopefully he will die. But if he was not, you know, you lived with the fear of where am I going to go? Weddings, anything that the family planned or anything going on with the family affected your life in a very deep way. Separation of families was common. It is stated that if you are married in the Catholic Church, you could not be separated, but sometimes they still were. At any rate, in this room, the food would have been plated by people like Marguerite. She's listed on inventory as being a laundress and a cook. She is also listed as having a hernia, and we just think that's, you know, with lifting the heavy pots and such, yes. So you have to think though, so also in this room you would have had the children of the family that would have had to eat with Marguerite until they were old enough and their manners were good enough to eat at the table or with the grown-ups. So what's happening then? Well, her parents are of African descent. You know, she lives in what they would have called a village of sorts. You know, they were all living in the slave cabin. That was their space. This was the master's space. So they're sharing their histories and stories. Although the Creole process is happening, they're still carrying their history forward with them. So what was she doing with these children? She was singing to them. She probably still knew some of her own people's language. She was telling them stories, and all of that history was being passed on, right?
Right.
Yes. Did anybody have any questions? No?